Field of view, or field of vision, is the extent of the observable game world that is seen on the display at any given moment. In other words, it's how much peripheral vision you have. Humans, provided they haven't fought the mountain, typically have 180 degrees of vision. That's 90 degrees either side. You can test this right now by holding your arms out, like you're an aeroplane. You won't be able to make out much detail, but you'll be aware of your fingers wiggling about. Prey animals can typically see even more, so they can spot predators creeping up behind them. Horses can see almost the whole way round. We CSGO players, however, are not prey, no matter how much it feels like we are sometimes, for we have a very narrow field of view. What it is depends on this console command and the resolution you're gaming at. Since you can't change the console command without cheats, this is always set to 90 during competitive play. But what you're seeing is only 90 if you're gaming at an aspect ratio of 4:3. If you're gaming at wider resolutions, your actual field of vision will be a bit bigger. But how much more? I guess I could have used maths and stuff, but I'm a visual kind of guy. So instead I got a picture of a protractor and made it into a CSGO map. No matter what resolution you game at, you will always have a vertical field of vision of 74, meaning that you won't be able to see directly above and below you at the same time. But the wider your screen is, the more horizontal field of vision you'll have. Let's go through them all, starting with the narrowest. If you turn your widescreen display on its side, you'll be gaming at 9:16. I don't recommend playing like it, but it's almost like a sneak preview of what a higher resolution would look like. If your monitor is Full HD, your gun will look like it's in 4K. And since I have a 4K monitor, what I'm seeing here is kind of like a sneak peek of 8K. It's detailed, and probably not necessary for this game. Moving on to the next, also pointless aspect ratio is 1:1. I tested this just to confirm that you get a vertical and horizontal field of view of 74, and you do. I don't think anybody games at this aspect ratio, and that's probably for the best. Next is 5:4, with a horizontal field of vision of 86. This was a popular resolution for the first LCD monitors, and you can still force your monitor to display it in CSGO by choosing 1280x1024. It's under the 4:3 category, even though it isn't that. Next we get to proper 4:3, which is a horizontal field of vision of 90. This aspect ratio is still popular for some reason. Maybe people think it makes player models wider and thus easier to hit, though I've never bought into that theory. I still think it's because you get higher FPS with lower resolutions, which could make your mouse movements feel more precise. Plus it's what a lot of older players are used to. Anyway, I still think a lot of pros use this aspect ratio, so it's an important one to cover. 16:10 is the next one up, and was an aspect ratio I liked. A few of the older widescreen LCDs used this, giving you some extra vertical space in programs and stuff. This gives you a horizontal field of vision of 100. Next is the modern standard that all of my videos are recorded in. It's 16:9. And this gives you a horizontal field of vision of 106. This lets you see further around, which may help you to spot enemies that players gaming at 4:3 fail to notice. Beyond this we get to ultra-wide and multiple monitor displays. Say you have two 16:9 monitors next to each other. Not recommended since your crosshair will be in the gap between them, but this will result in an aspect ratio of 32:9 and a horizontal FOV of 138. And last is a 3-monitor setup, which some people might be using. This has a horizontal field of view of 152, and as always, the vertical is still at 74. I would say, all things being equal, that a wider field of vision is better, since you'll spot players in your peripheral that otherwise you wouldn't have seen at all. But unfortunately, the support for it in CSGO is somewhat limited. This is what the main menu looks like on a 2-screen setup. And this is it at 3. That poor terrorist is beginning to look awfully lonely. Poor him. And the HUD stretches out so far that you have to twist your neck to see stuff. It would be far better to have all this stuff moved closer to the centre, leaving the peripheral stuff just for the game. I don't know if VR will ever come to CSGO. If it does, it'll be exciting, and I hope not just for those using VR. It would require a reworked HUD where it's not all hidden around the corners of the screen, and there would be rendering techniques that could lower the resolution in the peripheral vision to improve FPS. Both of these things would also help ultra-widescreen setups. While it's fun to speculate about what Valve might do in the distant future, I think there's something far simpler that they could implement for now, and that's a field of vision slider. Other games have it. It would give players a way to customize their desired field of vision and resolution, without being bound to one to get the other. The console command is already there. All they would have to do would be to have a slider with a maximum and minimum setting for competitive play, say 80 to 105. But it's still wise to have limits. Turn it up too far, it breaks the models, and the maps themselves. You could say this is FOV too far.